be first. Well, we'll have our intro first. Kamani will be the first performer. Larry will be the last performer. And then I've organized the performances so that we have some performances that have more actors in them go, then we'll have a solo, and padded with a piece that has more actors to give our actors a rest in between. So, last thing, I do need your titles. If you haven't given me the title of your piece yet, Luke, I think I still need a title from you. And I believe everybody else in the room has given me a title. So, any questions?
How are you?
Good question. Why don't we use that question to jump into a check-in today. So, let's stand up. And shake it out a bit. And I want to invite you to share through sound and movement 3 different ways how you're feeling right now. And we'll repeat it back. So I'll go first. Soraya! Everyone.
Soraya!
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 Soraya.
Soraya.
And JW, how are you feeling? Sound and movement.
J-Dub.
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 And JW.
Joe! Joe!
Vida Rasa, Jalo.
Vida Rasa, Jalo.
Luke. RC. RC. Joey. Joey.
Great, and everyone shake that out. Ah.
How I've grown is I've realized that I can actually memorize lines, and I feel like a sense of purpose. I really do. I love Shakespeare. It's something I want to do when I get out as part of my healing quest, part of my process to live my life, to the fullest.
And so I remember one day in rehearsal, I looked at him and I was like, Joey, I'm so nervous. And he said, why? I said, I'm just nervous that I'm not going to be good enough for you. And he pulled me aside and he was like, Sarah, you could do nothing on stage. You could pick your nose. And what you have done just by showing up here every Friday and seeing us as human beings has created the most healthy relationship that we could ask for. To learn what it means to have a healthy relationship with a female. Through your presence in this program and doing this work and working with the text of Shakespeare, that's priceless. And I didn't know what to say after that except for thank you.
Why, 'twill not be seen in there. There, all the men are as mad as he.
How came he back?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely.
In faith, even losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark.
One way in which I think I've grown or changed is that I discovered, a lot more about myself in terms of, social connections, creativity, everything that entails in terms of being in Shakespeare. Just the other way, I'm just being a lot more open, as opposed to in the past, I just be closed off,
Damn. Hip-hop certainly has lost a lot. And like you, I too miss Big and Pop. But hip-hop is not always distraught, expressing pain, sorrow, the hustle or a bleaker tomorrow. Nah, hip-hop can also inspire, take you a little higher, set your heart on fire, make you dance, laugh, and even desire.
For me, there's a difference in learning about somebody else's story. And for me, it's easier to look at another story and to memorize some lines and to do a character. This parallel play that we're getting ready to do is proving to be very challenging to me. And it's proven to be challenging because we wanted to make it a real story, a personal story. So there's some personal things coming up for me, which is taking me, that's why it's taking me a while to pretty much complete it. So it's been a process for me. I think it's a little bit more difficult. It will be a little bit more difficult. I'm not camera shy, but as you can see, hey.
You know, I had the opportunity to spend kind of one-on-one time in the rehearsal space with a number of the men. J.W., who's Jonathan Wilson is his full name, was our vibrant, fantastic Polonius. When I met him, even before I knew what part he was playing, I said, that's Polonius. That just has to be Polonius. There's no way. And it was a real privilege during the last year to hear the story about him meeting his daughter for the very first time, his 14-year-old daughter, who was brought up on a program called Get on the Bus that the state or some other organization puts on to help reconnect children with their parents who are incarcerated. He graduated with his diploma from the Prison University Project while we were working on Shakespeare in San Quentin. And so to be witness to such monumental moments in his life and to witness the joy that he had at graduating, at meeting his daughter, at, you know, feeling pride in things that he had done was just a really touching experience.
My liege and madam to expostulate. What majesty should be, what duty is. Why day, night, time, were nothing but to waste night, time, and day. Therefore, since brevity is the soul of which I will be brief. In fact, I was what some people would consider spoiled, meaning I had a little bit of everything I want. But tell me, how can a person that has everything he wants have nothing he really needs? What I really wanted, what I really needed, it was for my mom and dad to listen to me, to hear me when I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Mom, Dad, stop fighting!"
On me to be real before I can act as well as I possibly can. Okay, I have to be real to me, and then there's something to put into Claudius that people can live with, because he wasn't the nicest character, you know, and he wasn't the nicest guy, but he was a human being, all right? Just as, you know, I committed my crime, you know, and I want to be accepted back into society, and Claudius committed the crime of killing his brother. And of course, that's one of my identifications with my character was killing. And I had to take a look at myself and say, well, if I'm going to have sympathy for Claudius, I have to have sympathy for me. Okay, I have to have Claudius be loved by Gertrude. Okay, I have to love Claudius. Okay, and I had to get past that, you know, in order to do as much as I could with the part.
Oh, well. But you must know, your father lost a father. That father lost his, and the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term to do of secret sorrow. But to persevere in obstinate condonement is a course of impious stubbornness. 'Tis unmanly grief. Why should we, in our peevish opposition, take it to heart? We pray you throw to earth this unprevailing woe, and to think of us as of a father. So let the world take note. You are the most immediate to our throne, and in no less nobility of love than dearest father gives his son, do I impart to you.
I couldn't have written this piece that I wrote, Reign Enough, without having been Claudius, okay, and examining myself as Claudius, and of course, everything else I've done in my life.
The best thing my mama said about me before my choices changed our lives. She said, you are my gold. When she looked into my eyes, I didn't understand the future would unfold. A world of pain would shape her boy into a thief who'd steal the joy from another who loved her son as much as her.
I was just invited to come in here, J-Dub, and I was just come and sit in, and, just check it out. Next thing I know, I get handed a script. Handed a script, wait a minute, I was gonna pass it, but no, it just stuck with me. So, the acting, it really opened up a lot of doors, windows, corridors, new world. It brought the real person out, gave me confidence. The fear, I felt less fearless. Just scared of just being judged by people, what people think. That wall came down,
I pretty much got roped in by somebody who said, come on, this is a great group, it's fun. And then I think like 2 or 3 groups later, he ended up quitting. I stuck around though. I did have a lot of fun. What I expected, I had absolutely no idea. Just the way he was describing everything kind of was like, this kind of sounds weird, but I'll give it a try. I don't have anything better to do, but I really ended up enjoying it.
There was a new way of being in relation to other men that I saw happen for him, that I didn't see him carrying his pain alone so much. I saw him being able to hold it with others. I saw him just hanging out and laughing with guys that he wouldn't have normally been integrated with before, and other men who were able to see him and hold his pain. And it was just huge.
I've always had trouble expressing myself and never really had much of an avenue to actually do that, especially artistically. And I've always wanted to find that one thing. I kind of tried music for a while, and that, I like listening to it, but playing it, it just didn't work for me. Writing is kind of fun, but I didn't get much from that. But doing this, I don't know, it just allowed me to open up and be myself, which is actually a lot of fun.
Now, this whole time, I was doing something, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was learning to love. And no, I'm not talking about that warm, fuzzy, tingly, happy feeling that we men get in the presence of beautiful women like the ones in the audience. Yeah. Nor am I talking about that warm, happy, fuzzy, tingly feeling that you beautiful women get when in my presence. I'm talking about self-esteem, love of self. You see, I started loving myself, and I started taking control of myself.
I've been doing acting like, 6, 7 months. This was my first play. When I came in, I didn't know what to expect, but everybody in this community welcomed me with open arms, so I took it serious from the beginning when I first stepped in here. Doing this play, I done gathered this personal desire to want to do acting. I never thought I'd do any acting, but I'm kind of falling in love with acting. How you got to come out yourself and encounter new, different worlds, characters, emotions, feelings, and whatnot. So I'm falling in love with acting. Something I probably want to do when I get out.
Give him these money and these notes, dear Osric.
I will, my lord.
You shall do marvelously wisely before you visit him to make inquire of his behavior.
My lord, I did attend it.
Take you as 'twere some distant knowledge of him. Put on what forgeries you please.
As game, my lord.
As in drinking, fencing, swearing, quarreling, by indirection find directions out. God be with you, fair.
Yeah. How old are your daughters?
I got one fit to be 18 in December, one 16 and one 15.
Teenager.
Yes. Yeah, and I've been gone. Yeah, I've been gone, they whole life or whatnot. So the emotions of me is sometimey, you know, because they confused or whatnot too, because I've been gone all their life. So, and it, you know, I love one, whoever loved me at that time when we communicate, that's the one I'm in love with. The other one hate me, I'm hurt, you know. So it's like that with them, you know. Yeah, you know, but it's good. I know when I get out and they see this new person I became, everything else will fall in order.
And what was it like for you writing your original piece?
It was healing. It brought healing to something that I was dealing with all my life, which caused me to end up in prison at so young, caused me to be angry and do the type of things that I did. I didn't want to write it, you know. Mr. Wright told me to write it. I was hesitating to write it, but I'm glad I did because it opened up the doors to, it gave me more understanding about myself, you know, about why I ended up in prison, about, you know, why I chose the gangbang, chose the street life and all that type of stuff. It taught me something. And with that in mind, I wrote another piece, and every piece I write, it fixed something in me. You know, it brings my heart back together, you know, because all that pain that I've been dealing with, you know, was broken hearts and disappointments and not being able to trust other humans and, you know, basically detachment issues. So every time I write a piece and I'm eligible to express myself, it heals my heart, you know, so.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me. When I'm going home to my mommy, he said within 3 days, I was going to be released to my mother. But 3 days turned into 6 days. Still no mother came. Yet I remain optimistic as any other young boy would who loves his mother unconditionally and believes in her. It wasn't until 14 days later, after appearing in front of a judge while still in juvenile hall, that I finally had a chance to see my mother. She sat to the left of my public defender, and I sat to his right. Not knowing the significance of this hearing or being aware that my life was about to change forever, I paid the sadness that lingered in the air, conjunction to this moment, no attention, while constantly leaning forward past my public defender, hoping to get my mother's attention while smiling to let her know that I was being strong and that I was happy to see her. Yet she stared straight forward at the judge while not even glancing my way. I could not understand what was going on at the time between this man who wore a black robe and this other man with this suit and tie on that prevented my mother from hugging and kissing me by sitting in between us. It wasn't until the public defender whispered in my ear, "Mr. Randall, please sit back," to when I actually started to pay attention to what the judge was saying to my mother. I vividly recalled the judge uttering to my mother, "Mrs. Sims, I'm placing your son on 6 months of probation in your care. And if Mr. Randall violates any terms of his probation, his next vacation is going to be in the juvenile camp for the next 6 months." He then continued in his dialogue by asking my mother, was she aware that she could have picked me up within 3 days after I was brought to juvenile hall. I remember my mother clearly replying,
Yes, Judge, I was aware of that. But I don't want Kamani no more. That's my son. But Kamani do not listen to me or to his stepfather. He do what he want to do. So you can take him wherever. I cannot help him.
It brings me to tears to hear some people's other, members of the group stories. And because they relate to mine and what I go through in my life, like Imani was saying, some people know how to express it. But when other people express my story, that I'm not able to bring out of myself, so I'll be able to connect with that and brings me to tears. At one time, I didn't know how to feel. I was numb, vengeful, vindictive. So I used to just numb my pain with drugs and alcohol. And my body was, inside my soul was dark. So my spirit left my body because they didn't want to no longer live in a dark home where there's no soul, where there's no light within. So I was lost. I was through and fro in the earth trying to find who I was, you know. So when I start taking groups to be able to identify with my problems and what I was going through in my life, then it put a light within me to where my soul entered back into my body, and to be able to be authentic today, to be able to be compassionate today towards other people and be able to feel their pain. So whenever someone shares a story, I could feel it. And my spirit loved right in his home, in my body, within myself. And doing Shakespeare, I learned about, you know, what revenge does. That's why I wrote my piece about revenge, because I know I was vengeful. And then learning how obsessed Hamlet was with revenge and got everyone killed, I could see how it had destroyed my life. But today, I'm no longer that person. Being in Shakespeare opened my eyes about when I played that Queen Gertrude. Wow. You know, they said if you don't, you know, I didn't want to pick a part because I wasn't confident about picking a part. You know, they say if you don't make a decision in the world about what you want to do with your life, the world will make a decision for you. I find that very true. So I wind up playing the queen. So, you know what I mean? And I said that humbly because it creates some insight to me to what women go through. You know, that's something that I never seen till I become played a woman role at that moment, and to see how guys, some guys treated me, you know. But at one time when my women that had my life being treated like that, I used to think they condone that or they push that for that to happen that way. But then I knew they were playing with me, but I knew that was real for some women, you know what I mean? So I have more compassion and understanding to some of what women go through with some men, you know, and but it's about respecting women, and I learned that. And because a woman have fun with you or play, laugh with you, that does not mean they're interested in you as well, you know. So I have an insight from that, you know, by playing that female role, something I'd never seen before.
A lot of the things, the judgmental outlook that I have on others is the same thing that I didn't like people experiencing with me. I didn't like people to judge me, but I did it all the time. I do it all the time. So Shakespeare, for me, with the acting, I always have to look at myself and make sure that I'm doing it right. So I'm paying attention to myself, something that I've never done. You know, I was always told by others, this is what you're doing, this is what you look like. And if it was something that I liked, then, you know, I expressed that. But if it was something that I didn't like, then I just ignored it. So it causes me to pay attention to myself and then to pay attention to other people and to have empathy for them. And Shakespeare did that for the prison, which it gave everybody an opportunity to say, I like that, because everybody else around you was saying something that you might have only thought, but because so many people are saying that they like something, oh yeah, I like it too. But if before the performance, there was a lot of people, including myself, that hadn't experienced it on that level, only heard about it.
I can't remember a time when he wasn't in my life. Come to think of it, whenever I do ponder on how long I've known him, ponder, where did that come from? Ponder. I like it. I'll keep it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it seems like I've always known him. In fact, other than me, he knows more about me than anybody else. Sometimes I think no one knows me better, not even me. The thing that amazes me the most about him is how, no matter what I've done, and it still trips me out whenever I think about it, ponder on it, how often he seemed to just show up during one of my capers, crimes, transgressions, wrongdoings. I mean, there he'd be right in the middle, getting at me, talking, or even yelling.
What the Funyuns? Say, so good are you doing?
What drew me to Shakespeare was I needed something to do. I was spending too much time on the yard, doing nothing, playing down the nose, arguing. So I decided to join a group, join as many groups as possible. I've come to like Shakespeare a lot, you know. It helped me open up to other races. The other prisons I was at was real, you know, there was no bonding between races. So here I was able to open up to other races, mainly Caucasian, you know.
What a search to not appear. Peace break thee off. Here it comes again. In the same figure as the king that's dead. Now it's a scholar. Speak to me, Horatio. Looks not like the king. What did Horatio? Most like. It heralds me with fear and wonder. Listen, Horatio. What art thou that observes this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form?
Lord, please refrain me from this pain and torment, this feeling of abandonment, held hostage to my own mind imprisonment. Unable to escape these feelings and images, notice how my heart skips a beat, the way I tremble inside from the reaction she brings.
Shakespeare has allowed me to learn about relationships between people. I really respect these men in here, you know. I have shared very tender moments with these people in here, and it's because of Shakespeare.
2 months dead, nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this Iberian, to Waseda, so loving to my mother that he might not redeem the winds of heaven, visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember, and yet within a month, let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman, a little month. Why even she, oh God, a beast that wants the scourse of reason, would have borne longer, married with my uncle, my father's brother. But no more like my uncle and I to Hercules, within a month. Here, yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her gold eyes. She married a most wicked speed to boast with such dexterity to incestuous sheets.
It was the most terrifying role that I've ever taken on, by far. I was having nightmares. I was waking up in a cell, bumping my head, flailing my arms. Did I get that line right, you know? One morning I woke up and I thought I'd missed the show. I had just come off of pneumonia, so I still have it, so, but how was it for me? It was, wow. It was so fun. I had a good time. The challenge, not knowing if I could shed myself completely and become that role.
He's someone who, as an actor, is riveting. I mean, he's someone that I imagine would probably be a pretty famous actor if he wasn't in prison, and maybe he still will be at some point. But what people don't know, and what people probably didn't see behind the scenes like I saw, was how he struggled to put his piece out. In fact, his piece, I don't think any of us had even really seen it until maybe the dress rehearsal that was the day of the show, because he basically locked away a lot of these memories and did not want to go back there. And through the process of doing this parallel play program, he had to go back and relive certain memories. And I remember talking to him and him telling me that, you know, he hadn't been sleeping. He was clearly very disturbed as we were going through the process. But what was really beautiful was it was clear something was being worked out of his system, something that he had closed behind a door, didn't want to think about, didn't want to go there. Through this process, gave him the opportunity with loving support to go back, to look, to see, and then through the process of bringing his piece to life again, to really transform and heal through it.
I was 5 years old when my mother put me into the toughest class in the Cincinnati, Ohio's boys club that they ever had. It was tougher than lacrosse. It was tougher than boxing. It was tougher than basketball. It was tougher than wrestling. It was even tougher than football. My mother put me in ballet. Feel my pain, people, feel my pain. My mother and I would go back to our home and we'd talk. She'd tell me about her day. Oh, I'd tell her about mine and how much I just love ballet class. We'd sing, we'd dance, and you know what? On this night, when we came home, my mother's favorite song was playing on the radio. I asked my mother to dance. Oh, it was great. It went something like this. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Then I got better. Yes, say what can make me feel this way. My girl, talking about my girl, my girl.
Spiritually wise, you know, acting for me is it's my connection to God, you know. In some aspects, I feel this weird sense of energy, this weird sense of fulfillment. As a spiritual man, that journey is so loving. I feel love, you know, even in prison, in here, this is the one place where I can come and feel love. I can feel God's love.
For me, one reason the guys in their own solo shows were able to plunge in with such depth and vulnerability is because they were creating those shows in the context of this healing community, this healing ensemble of actors. By working on the previous plays they had worked on together, they were able to get to know each other, to open up in the spirit of deep playfulness. And that, I think, that ability to go into such depth in their own personal stories was in part due to the fact that they had this community.
We see men learning and growing. We see them becoming spokesmen to the rest of the community here at San Quentin, and they say to the men, set goals, take on a project, do something that challenges you, do something outside of your comfort zone. And that will give you a richer life, even here inside of San Quentin. We've heard stories about the men, how this brings them together. how they form a band of brothers in doing this work, how it brings men of different races together in different ways, how it makes them want to learn conflict resolution on stage and off, how they want to share what they're learning with their peers here at the prison.